Our final inductee tonight is Dr. Thomas J. Malone. Tom Malone credits his time at Pearl River and his association with Coach Dobie Holden for the habits and principles that have guided his life and ultimately leading to his success. He graduated from Hattiesburg High and completed 6 months of Army Reserve duty before enrolling at Pearl River in the fall of 1957. In addition to playing varsity basketball and football for the Wildcats, he was also inducted into Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. Upon graduation from Pearl River, Dr. Malone enrolled at Georgia Tech University, owning both a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering and a PhD in 1966. He joined Deering Milliken Incorporated as a chemical engineer, and by 1975, Malone had been promoted to president of Milliken's Interior Furnishings Division and Milliken Chemicals. He became president and CEO of Milliken & Company in 1983. He was the driving force behind the Pursuit of Excellence program for the company, which received the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award in 1989. Malone retired in 2004 after 2 years as executive vice chairman. He has received numerous awards, including nationwide recognition as Phi Theta Kappa's National Man of the Year, and has been an active member of many professional and educational organizations. He serves on the board of the LaGrange Troop County Development Authority, which has created one of the country's safest healthcare systems, and is chairman of Georgia Tech Research Ireland. Malone was Pearl River Community College's 1980 Alumnus of the Year and established the T.D. Dobie Holden Scholarship in honor of his mentor. He was chairman of the successful campaign to raise funds for the Holden statue that was unveiled during the college's centennial celebration in 2008. Malone and his wife Pat live in LaGrange, Georgia, and have 5 children. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Thomas J. Malone.
When did you come to Pearl River Junior College, and why did you choose so?
Well, I came to Pearl River College in 1958, fall of 1958. Why did I go to Pearl River College? First of all, I didn't intend to go to college. I was part of a big family, 9 children, mother and father, 3rd child of a big family. My parents, none went to college. My oldest sibling was the only girl in the family. She didn't go. My brother didn't go. Why did I want to go to college? So 3 days out of college, high school, I went to the Army. 6 months active duty. I came out of the Army, Hattiesburg, went to work in bridge construction. I was going to be a big bridge construction guy. 9 months later, I'd seen a little of the world. In the Army, in bridge construction, I said, uh-oh, I need some education. I think my mother and grandmother always preach education, education. I think they may have been right. And I'd had an offer of a scholarship for football by Coach Dobie Holden. I'd turned that down too, so it wasn't money. So then I picked up the phone, called Coach Holden. I said, is that scholarship still good? Bottom line, we worked that out. And I jumped at going to Pearl River College. But now I got to tell you, it was a delightful moment. Not that I was going the next step, but because when I did my homework, which I try to do most times, Pearl River had a terrific reputation even at that time. They had terrific athletics. Football, they were phenomenal in their reputation in football, and I was a football player, and I was going to play football. But more importantly, I said, but I'm not going now to play football except short term. I'm going to get my education now, finally. And everything I asked about it, everybody told me, kind of a big picture. You will be happy with the teaching at Pearl River College. The teachers are dedicated, they're motivated, they have only one goal, and that's to teach. And I said, you will be able to go wherever you want to go when you finish Pearl River College, if you do reasonably well. So I had both things were winners. That's why I went to Pearl River College.
Very good, yes. And how did your experience at Pearl River impact your career?
Well, it was, it picked me up right when I needed, number one, a big transition in my life. I had to move from being a very a fun-loving, not so serious student in high school, and all of a sudden now, after a year, I want to go now. But what happened is the environment really transformed me. It taught me that it was fun. It was fun to learn, and it wasn't just a place to go and have fun with the other students, et cetera. So they transformed me enormously during those 2 years. And they taught me that education was absolutely essential for big success to achieve your full potential. So it had a huge impact on me, but it was started primarily with the beginning of a very significant transformation in my attitude and my thinking about education.
Yes, sir. All right, and what advice do you feel would be most helpful to Pearl River College students in setting and achieving their career goals?
Well, that's something I like to talk about a lot, because I think that's one that can be very confusing to young people, and it was to me. Mm-hmm. And I said, you've got to start out with some fundamentals, in my opinion, to sort through all this huge thing. What are you going to do for life? And who's out there ready to tell you? And how can they tell you? Because they don't know you. So I said you have to go back to the basics. And fortunately, I did that, I think, as I look back pretty well. You got to start out by saying, I'm going to just be the best I can be. I mean, I'm going to try to achieve my potential, and education is a fundamental driver of that. And then once you've decided that, my belief as I look back, and I tell my own children, I have 5, that you've got to decide that you're going to get the most education you can. There's no saturation of education. It's a lifelong process. But if you don't focus on it and enjoy it and really embrace it, you won't do it later. You've got to just be a continuous flow process. I believe it's tremendously valuable to have work experience of any kind while you're in those early stages of trying to develop that transformation, which also takes a long time. You don't complete it in 2 years. You've got to get to start on the right track. So having experience of any kind of job, I think, is incredibly helpful. Now, this is one that was, I thought, so smart, important. I wanted to look at a note here. So I said, the education, get all you can get, work experience. Then you got 2 other key things. Ask people that are successful. They love telling you. And the ones that have already done it, they had it happen. The ones that got there, they had people help them and advise them, every one of them. And they love doing it. So you just go out of your way to reach out and do it. For instance, if I was in the Honor Society, which at Pearl River today, I'd look at who these Hall of Fame inductees are, and I said, my God, they've been down the road. I'm going to find out how to spend a few minutes with them and let them give me some advice on what to do. Now, the last piece is a critical piece, and almost no students do it. And I can share with you because I did it. And I fell into it. I was lucky. But you got to put on paper what you think is important to you. And you've got to do it very systematically, and you can be shown how to do it, or you can do it yourself. I had to do it myself because I couldn't find anybody that told me to do that. What's important to me? What do I think is right now? You know, a lot more than you think. You may not have all the answers, but you've got a lot more knowledge of yourself than anybody else. So you write them down in order of priority and how important they are. It's called matching pairs approach. And when you have that, then you start thinking of all your options that you might be considering that fits what you think you're good at and what you think you're interested in. And you match those up against the match pair of how important they are, of what all the alternatives are. And even then, when you start getting further along, and you can do your degrees that way. 1 degree, match them up with what you think is important to you. Where you're going to live, what match up. What size school, match up. Whatever you think, and match them up, and it'll lead you right to a systematic answer rather than just trying to think about it and pulling it out of the air. And then when you start leaving school, It changed my whole life. I did exactly that same thing in selecting who I'd go to work for. When I had a degree from Georgia Tech and go anywhere I wanted, I had 50 job offers. How do you pick who you're going to go to work for? Well, I developed a process of doing that, of what was important to me and how important, and I rated every company then. And I picked a company out of 50 companies that I never heard of when I started. I was supposed to go to work for DuPont or Procter & Gamble or 3M or IBM or Eastman. And by the way, all the heads of those companies later were on our board. And when I started rating them, those 50 that offered me a job, a company called Deering Milliken, now known Milliken, which you'll hear a little about, came out at top because I went through a systematic process. I interviewed 3 times the top companies, and every time Milliken got a little higher. And I never heard of them, didn't even know who they were. And I decided to go. I was going to work for them. I thought it the best I could. I'd gotten all the input I could, and I made one other decision. I'm going to do it for 5 years. I've made the best decision I could make. I asked every company I interviewed, how long would I know if I made the right decision? They said about 5 years. So I made that decision, 5 years minimum. And what happened was right out of school, 2 years, I got an offer that was 5 times my salary, and then you name the price. And I said no. 2 years out of school, because I had not followed the process that I said would not be a react, knee-jerk along the way. It changed my whole life. I said no, and they said why, and I said, I did a year of analysis. I picked the winner out of 50. I gave myself 5 years, and I'm at 2. And if my analysis of myself and the company I picked is right, I will get more from Milliken than you, and money is not the measure of success to begin with. They couldn't believe it. The rest is history. I finished the rest of my life with Milliken & Company, 40 years, and that's how I picked them. And that's how you can pick your degree. That's how you can pick your next school. That's how you can pick where you go to work. And nobody teaches you how to do that I know of.
Nobody. It's a great advice. Sounds like it really works, for sure.
It's a
Definitely.
process, and it worked for me incredibly well. And just a little side note, I used the same basic approach when I was deciding to get married. And guess what? I worked 40-something years for Milliken, and I got one wife for 50 years.
Congratulations.
Because I thought deeply about what I wanted in life, and did I match? And nobody teaches you routinely how to do that. It would be a wonderful course, by the way, that the Honor Society might have as a seminar series. You know, a week a month, a day a month, a day a week, or whatever, because it's teachable but I can't get Georgia Tech to do it.
That'd be wonderful. Definitely should get started on that.
Right.
Sure.
So I hope I didn't wander over there too far.
Oh no, that's great advice.
Okay.
That's really, I can't even tell you how much that's going to help me, for sure.
Well, I just know how confused I was. But I did go ask people. And it's incredible how much different advice you get because of different people's point of view, and that's okay. And you don't want to focus on what they did. You want to focus on why they did what they did. Because you're going to do something different. If you focus on what they did, you're going to try to do what they did. It's not what fits you. But if you ask what, and then ask, why did you do it? And when they answer that question, say, well, why did you do that? And you ask them 5 times why for each, what did you do? And when you get through, guess what? You understand it, then you can apply it to you, because the whys are what counted. And you, with your interest, you will come up with a different what I do if you understand the whys. Most everybody, when they try to understand something new and interesting and to learn from others, want to go see what they did, and it doesn't necessarily apply to them at all. And if you start talking to the Hall of Fame inductees, they'd love to have those conversations. But every one of them going to be total. Just think of ones going in tonight, how different we are. But what you're looking for are the common building blocks that get uncovered by asking why. And when you ask that why of enough people, it'll just come like a laser right on what you want to do. It'll focus you unbelievably. Well, you have to learn something new every day. When Ernie said, Tom, why don't you go last? I said, thank God. You know, well, I won't ever do that again. If there's anybody can top what we've already heard, I don't know how the hell you'd do it. And they had a sense of humor. I mean, you know, I'm one of those wannabe coaches and want to be tough, hard-nosed disciplinarian, and I only wrote this message maybe 18 times. And then I had my dear wife, Pat, and my son, Scott, and my other children be my audience, and I'd try it out. Well, after about 18 versions of it, I said, I don't know, I'm going to just talk about something. I'm not going to let y'all know what I'm going to talk about, and I'm not sure yet. But what I do want to do one thing. I want to ask all of those people that Sid asked to stand back up. Just one more. All of you that stood up, stand up. Now, the rest of the Malone family that's here from my side of the family, in other words, I want you to all stand up. Now, you want to take on the Malone clan? Y'all can sit back down. My opening line for the first 17 versions of this thing was success in life is a team sport. And the second line was, and the most important teams in the world is your family. Now, it lost its way out of my speech, and I don't know, I finally decided I ought to put it back in because it wasn't going to add but 30 seconds. And I can tell you between Pat and Scott and everybody else, I mean, this thing is whittled up and it's whittled down, and it didn't end up but an hour. What is it about that 8 o'clock night time? Well, all right. Well, I mean, I really don't have a sense of humor. But what I do is like to talk about a lot of facts and data, and I look around at my dear friends here. What I really wanted to be was a coach in life, and that was my goal. I was going to be a coach, and I was going to marry a cheerleader. Well, I was a total failure. I'm not a coach. I married a majorette, and I became a cheerleader. And that's all the hell I've been my whole life, a cheerleader. Now, first of all, you cheer your family because, boy, they earn it. And then you cheer everybody else whether they earn it or not. Because if you do, guess what? They'll make you a hero. People don't fail when you make them heroes. Their capability is unbelievable. So out of all those other versions, but I'm just like the others and I want to say thank you. I'm enormously honored to be here. I'm humbled beyond belief. There are many, many that I know that would be absolutely as deserving as all that we've heard tonight, and certainly of me. And I look forward to being able to come back through the years and honor them as they unroll with this fabulous process. I have been blessed that I've got lots of family and friends here. A lot of you came a long way. All this center table came at my invite, families and friends, and it's really fab. But I don't like to stand up and address a group unless I can bring my fans in the stands. So they're my fans in the stands. So none of the rest of you make a sound. I'm going to hear from my fans in the stands. They just might start clapping any time. I mean, they've been well coached. I told you I like to be a coach. Thanks to all of you. I'm very, very honored to be here, and I'm very honored that you have all come. I've thought a lot about my message tonight. I think this is a bellwether event that Pearl River College has put together. I think when we look back 10 years from now, we're not going to believe the impact it's had. That brings something exciting and valuable to Pearl River College that would not normally be taught in the classroom. Something that will be terrific and motivating for Pearl River College and its students. Now, Terry, if you'd pick those books, I left them under my chair, and because I meant to bring them up here with me, but you see I had butterflies that I worried about Coach Holden not letting me get away with it. But these two, I brought these two books because I've read lots and lots of books, and they're written both by Malcolm Gladwell. One of them's called Outliers, and it's a very little book that describes the most extraordinary people in the world of all types of careers and backgrounds, from Mozart to the Beatles to Einstein, you name it. And what it does is an unbelievable analysis of what their backgrounds were. What was their education? What was their family situation? What month they were born? Guess what? There are about 10 or 11 things that had a huge impact on all of us in this room and was very common in those individuals that had extraordinary success in life. And there's some things in this book that will have particular applications to the young honor students here, and it'll be wonderful for a lot of us. You'll enjoy reading it, because I bet you a lot of you will. You'll be amazed at why a lot of good things happened to you, and maybe some didn't, and it'll be explained with some facts and data. Kind of amazing. I'm giving a copy of this to all the members of the Honor Society of Pearl River tonight, and it's in somebody's car out there, and I have autographed them to each one individually. So if you don't get your book, it's not my fault. It's out there. Somebody in this room, Ernie, owns those books, and they're there for you to get. And the second book, which is even more exciting, the same guy, looks the same, called The Tipping Point. The Tipping Point. He's written a third book, and I believe Pearl River College is at a tipping point. I believe Pearl River College is opening another door, again, being a pioneer that could bring another whole level to Pearl River that we all might have thought was impossible not long ago. But guess what? I bought these. But guess what? If they get this one, they're going to have to buy it, or Dr. Lewis is going to have to buy it. I mean, 50-50 is okay, and everything should be a partnership. So those are the two books, and they'll have to decide what to do with it. Pearl River College is a world-class team. It's a pioneering leader in education. It has made a world-class contributions to educating and motivating thousands of young people, particularly all of us here tonight. And I want to ask us to close, me as the last speaker, by giving the Pearl River Leadership Quality a standing round of applause. Standing.